All right, welcome back to the knife review segment we do here on Phillibuster Media. This is the follow-up for the Wishbot Boa 2, I believe is what this was called. Now, again, I'm doing a few Wish knives back to back here because I'm trying to burn through that cluster of them that I bought a while ago and just get them out of the way. But this knife here was not too bad of a knife to have. And I'm not sure if this is a clone of another brand that's actually called Boa or not, or if this was just a affordable brand sold by a dealer on Wish. I've never really heard of Boa 2, and I tried to look up some stuff online about it, but I didn't really have a lot of time to do research on it, so I haven't found too much about it. But my initial thoughts on this was that it was going to be a pretty decent knife, and so far those thoughts have pretty much come to fulfillment. The downsides I do have with this knife are the below the blade release here. If you remember from the last video, I was concerned that, I'm always concerned with these because of the knife rotating down onto your thumb. But this is still very, very stiff trying to release it. And I've probably flipped this open like 1,000 times, and it's still, that metal is still real stiff. And when you're trying to do stuff one-handed and you're a little sweaty, because now we're going into, spring and like near summer and those hot and muggy months out here, it did get in the way a little bit. And if you're working with gloves, it's hard to get your thumb in there to get a good grip on that and release it. So personally, I'm not a big fan of that. Another thing about this knife is I do feel like the blade steel is a little soft. There's a lot, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but there's a lot of little micro rolls all up and down the blade, little chips. I only used it for about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, and I did the same normal daily procedures I do with other knives with this one, and I don't think I've seen that much edge damage from daily use on any other knife. Regular, just a quick 2-week inspection on them, I can't think of another knife off the top of my head where I garnered that much damage. But it still cuts. It's still got an edge down here where it isn't damaged. Fillets cardboard and straps and banding fairly well, but I think it's a weak steel, a softer steel, so it's not something I'm really super excited about. Still looks great. Still feels great in the hand. Functionality is still pretty, sturdy wise, it's still pretty sturdy. Functionality, I mean, it did its job. It did what I bought it to do, was to test it out and see how it held up. It cuts stuff, it folds, it opens. I still love the weight of this. It's got a good weight to it, a little heavier than most of the knives that I have tested on this channel, and I appreciate that because I appreciate a good weight to a knife. It doesn't feel like I'm just going to drop it and fumble it everywhere. So if I had to give this knife an honest rating after using it for a couple weeks, I'd give it a 6. Mostly because I don't like the underbelly release, or not the underbelly, the underside release under blade, and the fact that the steel is soft enough to ding, roll, and chip that much in just 2 weeks of standard use, as compared to other knives that I have used longer and withstood like exponentially more than this one did. So there you have it, the follow-up review. It's still comfortable, it's still sturdy, the weight is good, the sharpness is iffy at this point. The functionality was great because it did what I needed to do, it just didn't hold up. And I had a concern that I would have snapped this little plastic, because that's what it is, it's just plastic. I'd have snapped that little plastic clip off in 2 weeks. And I caught this thing on a couple boxes and a racking, and it didn't break. However, ripped it out of my pocket. So, I mean, I don't know what that little plastic clip is made of, but it's very thin, very flexible, which is probably what saved it from snapping off. But still, I would put a metal one on there because plastic on an everyday carry just doesn't make sense to me. So I'd give it a 6 out of 10. for just really small reasons, but those reasons are a lot bigger in the grand scheme of things, because having a knife that you've always got to sharpen because the steel is soft just doesn't sound like something I want to walk around with an everyday carry with. So the Boa 2, I bought it on Wish, and a cluster of knives. I believe this was like $15 for this thing. I don't remember exactly. I should have looked it up before I made the video, but I'm on a roll today and I didn't think to do that. So about $15 for this knife. I think there was shipping, so it probably would have been about $22, $25 total. And it's not a bad knife. I used it probably 10, 15 times a day. I opened it and closed it as much as I could to wear out the pivot joint on here and everything. And it holds up pretty well. It's got a good snap. The only things that I don't like are the release and the softness of the steel. Boa 2, bought on Wish. If you have any questions, anything else you want to know about it, just shoot me a comment and let me know. But I give it a 6 out of 10. Probably would not buy it again, if I'm being honest. I've got one. I don't think I'll ever need another one. And that's it for today. If you guys are interested, please stick around and check out some of my other videos. I am starting to add new segments. Coming up, I'm going to do flashlights. I had a fella on here ask me if I could start reviewing flashlights. And if there's one thing that I have used daily as much as a pocket knife, it would be flashlights, because my day-to-day job regularly comes about where I need a light. So I'm going to start adding flashlight reviews. I've got 5 or 6 of them that I've used religiously over the last probably a decade, and I have got some good reviews on those. I'm going to be buying new ones, cheap and hopefully expensive if I can swing it, and testing them out to see how they hold up to my speculation. So this was knife review follow-up for the Boa 2, bought on Wish. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.